So, good evening. I would really like to give you an update in relation to what has happened here. As you can probably tell, we've just had a residents' meeting where we took a huge amount of questions from local residents, and there was fantastic attendance. A huge number of people came, and I'm really hopeful that we managed to answer some of the questions that they have. Just a little bit of an update in terms of what's been going on since we last spoke to you. So earlier today I took the decision to rescind the offer to allow people to go back into their addresses for 15 minutes from the evacuation area, and I'd like to explain to you why I did that. So originally we asked people to leave because we absolutely believed their lives were at risk because the reservoir, the dam, was about to burst. So we had to get people out really, really quickly. And we knew that people just simply left, and people would have left things like medication, they will have left belongings that they needed, and they would have left things like family pets. So I felt that we needed to give people a small opportunity to go in there to retrieve pets or to retrieve the items, because if I didn't, people would do that. And if they did that in an uncontrolled way, they would be putting their lives at risk. And it's far easier for me to make sure somebody went with them and then we got them out again safely. Sadly, a small number of people went back into their residence and refused to leave. And by doing so, they put their own lives at risk. We've not evacuated this for no reason. We've evacuated it because there is a real prospect the dam could fail. And if it fails, it is catastrophic. People would die if they were in that evacuation zone. And so those people who remain in that zone are putting their lives at risk. They are also putting the lives of the responders, primarily the police, at risk. Because we have to keep going in and speaking to them and asking them to leave. And by refusing to do so, I'm having to put my staff at risk in order to do that. So I would urge them, if they are watching this, to leave their properties and let us know that they have left their properties. This is a difficult incident to deal with, and the people, the local community, have been brilliant. They have been fantastic. They are so supportive of our efforts. I cannot tell you the support that they've given to the responders who are on the scene, be it from bringing them things to eat or just simply volunteering. We've been inundated with volunteers, more than we've actually known or needed to have. So I'd urge those people to leave. If the dam does in fact fail, we will need to go in and try and rescue those people. So the firefighters' lives will be at risk. So again, I would urge them in the strongest terms to leave those properties and to tell us that they've done that. So what's happened today? You'll have seen there's been an awful lot of activity taking place. The fire service and other agencies have done a tremendous job in pumping the water out of the reservoir. At 3:30, when I had my last strategic coordinating group, it had gone down by a level of 3.5 metres. As you know, we're aiming for 8 metres, and so it will have gone down a lot more since then. We are pumping the water out at a maximum efficiency. There is definitely a limit you can reach in terms of how fast you can do it, because obviously if you take the water out too fast, there can be structural damage to the reservoir and the dam. And we are at that point of maximum efficiency. And I must thank colleagues from Environmental Agency, the Canals and River Trust, my fire service colleagues, and indeed the Army, who have come to support us in doing all of this. You'll also be aware we've been shoring up the ingress, so to prevent water coming through and to diverting it down to the sluice channels that exist either side. All of that has taken place, and where the sandbags are now in place, we're now in effect grouting them to make them more secure. And that's still been ongoing and ongoing today. And we've had some local residents helping us fill those smaller sandbags, and I'm being very grateful for their support. So, an awful lot of activities taking place. As I've said, we've just had the residents' meeting. People are obviously asking, when can I go home? Because that's the number one priority. Given that life is at risk, I can't say to them you can go back, and there are businesses affected by this, and the businesses also affect the community in that if those businesses do indeed suffer, then there's local people working there, and we are mindful of that. So as chair of the strategic coordinating group, I've been working with my local resilience forum partners and other agencies, statutory and non-statutory, to try to look at some of these issues. And there is a group that's looking at the effect on businesses, and there is a group that's also looking at the recovery and what that looks like. We absolutely are aiming to get people back in their homes as soon as possible. But I'm not prepared they can do that until I get absolute assurance that it is safe for them to do so, and that there is appropriate mechanisms in place, so that will include pumps that will be ongoing, to keep that water level at that safe level so that people can go there safely and it doesn't rise up again and put those lives at risk. So an awful lot of work that's been going on. We have huge support from the residents who have been fantastic. We've got huge, really good multi-agency support and working together in order to deal with this slightly unusual situation. But I just would like to express my thanks to all those involved, but particularly my thanks to the residents and businesses who've been displaced and the patience that they are showing. Thank you.
Can you tell us how many people are still behind the cordon you talked about?
Yes, I got an update only a moment ago. There are 31 people in 22 households who are still there.
And how many of those are the ones that went back in and didn't come out again?
A small number of them, but I can't tell you the exact number.
What would you say to people who are still in those properties?
I think I've articulated quite strongly around that they're putting their own lives at risk, they're putting the lives at risk of responders, and really I don't understand why they would do this. When I made that point just a moment ago at the residents' meeting, it got a round of applause because all those people there have understood the real risk and have understood what we're doing, and I just feel disappointed that they continue to present that risk to everyone.
Do you have a concern that as people see the dam level going down, other people might decide, I'll risk it, I'll go back to my house?
Yes, absolutely, because people think, well, it's going down a bit, it must be safer. So just to emphasise, the reason 8 metres has been set is because the damage is above that. So if you go back before then, you're risking yourself going there when the wall is not structurally safe. So that's the real message to them. But in order to do that, we're staffing all of the roadblocks. We in Derbyshire Constabulary have invested in 24/7 drone capacity, and that's been brilliant because we can put eyes in the sky to see if anybody is actually trying to go back in there.